This is a bonsai ficus tree which I'm going to repot today and prune it. It has an interesting story behind it which I will narrate as I'm working on the tree. So stay tuned. It's quite an old tree, and the story behind it is that the couple who brought it into me were walking about 14 years ago, and they found next to a rubbish bin it had been chewed up by a dog, and they looked at it and they thought, the wife thought she'd take it, but they knocked on the door before taking it, asked for the permission, and the owner said, oh, it's been chewed up by the dog, the tree is dead. They rescued it, and this is 14 years later, and today I'm going to do a repot, and also the top is more like a bush as opposed to a bonsai, so it will be repotted and pruned. I've managed to remove the tree from the pot, and now it's a question of removing the wires and the soil. Just gently ease the old soil out. It is June now and it's very hot, and for that reason I have dunked the roots in water to make them very wet, and I'll repeat the process if necessary. So the roots must not be allowed to dry out. If the feeder roots dry out, then your tree is dead. So I don't recommend that you try and do this at home, but if you do, then make sure that you take precautions to ensure that the roots don't dry out, and it is then the repot is done. From this point onwards, it's everything is done fairly quickly, and it's repotted as quickly as possible and then watered, and I will also explain about the aftercare. I'm going to carry on with this and we'll catch up shortly. I'm going to continue and remove as much of the old soil as possible and free the roots up. Some of it is quite lumpy. There's a bit of clay as well. Fair amount of old soil has broken down, and it's just like clay really, and also there's a lot of thick roots, but I'm not going to touch those. It's the wrong time of the year to try and tackle those. Besides, this is not my tree, so I don't want to be in a situation where I'm taking risks with somebody else's tree. So I'm going to reduce some of these roots which are too long and surplus to requirement, and I'll work around the tree. It's too heavy to lift up, so I'm just going to work as it is as best as I can, and then turn it over like so, and it's deciding not to stay there, so I'll just have to do the best I can. Still reducing some of these roots at the bottom. These are thick roots which really are not much use. It's the fine feeder roots that feed the tree. So we are going to continue removing these, and then I'm going to dunk it again into water to keep it very wet. Just try and remove some more of the old soil. I think I've got a decent root ball. got a washing up bowl on my right, so I'm going to pop the tree with into the washing up bowls where the roots will be just submerged in water and will catch up shortly. I have chosen this oval dirty cream color pot, and it's all prepared. The drainage holes are covered in wire mesh, anchor wire is prepared, and it's all ready to go. So shortly I will start the process. In the meantime, the tree is sitting in a washing up bowl, the roots covered in water. I'm now driving the soil with chopsticks into the air pockets, and I'm going to continue with this. As you can see, the soil is sinking as I use the chopsticks. There are a lot of air pockets. I've removed a lot of the old soil, and it was dunked in water to keep the roots wet, and I'm also trying to work fairly fast as I want to water it as quickly as I can after this soil has been compacted and repotting complete, the air pockets removed, and that will be the end of the repot. But for now I've got to remove these anchor wires, just cut them off, the excess, and same thing with the second one, and then bury them. And continue with the driving of the soil into the air pockets. I'm going to carry on with this and we'll catch up shortly. It's all done, and now it's time to give the tree a thorough soaking till it starts to come through the drainage holes. And after that there's one more job to do. It's too heavy at the top and it needs a decent prune. The previous pot was a little bit small, and I've changed the pot and used this oval pot, which is slightly larger than the previous pot, and I think this suits the tree better, and there's a little bit more room, whereas before the tree was wedged up against the sides, and now it has more room to expand and for the roots to grow. The water's coming through from the drainage holes, so I'll stop now and let it drain and then continue with the pruning. It needs a very, very thorough sort out at the top, and we'll deal with that shortly. But in the meantime, I'll give it a quick turn. Now I'm going to start pruning this tree. If I was doing this work in spring, I would have completely removed all the leaves and really reduced the branches, and then when the new growth comes it would spurt all over the place and the tree would be much tighter and the leaves would be much tighter and the branch structure would be much tighter. But we are in June, so I can't afford to be so drastic with it, and what I'm going to do is just reduce these the height of these branches. I'll try and get as much of this on camera as I can. So removing about that much from each of these branches, and some of these very tall branches I'm going to remove completely. For example, this tall branch I'm going to remove completely. It's very tall, and there are smaller branches, so we're going to remove that completely. There, that's removed completely, and that will be the way. And now here again, this one I'm going to reduce it to about there, or even a bit further down, removing all that, removing all that. As you can see, this side is now much more compact and this looks out of shape, so I'm going to just work round and reduce the rest of the tree as well. Bulk of the pruning has now been completed, and I'm now going to fine-tune things a little. where the growth is growing inwards, or its branches are crisscrossing. So I'm going to try and tidy up as much of that as possible. And it's all basically inside the tree, and here we are. Also the back budding too close to the sort of main branches is not very good. It makes the tree look younger than it really is. So I'm removing all this from inside the tree. Not sure if you can see it. It's growth here. It's back budded and it's just been left to grow. Doesn't really do the tree any good in terms of aesthetics. There's another one, small one, and just that sort of stuff that I'm removing now. Oh, there's some more here. Just again growing inwards, just makes the tree look very, very bushy. I have been working off camera, and I've removed a lot of the moss, and there's a little bit more left, so which I will remove. It's basically using brush and water, and it comes off quite easily once you've made it wet. Bulk of it, as I said, has been removed. It's just a little bit here, so I'll quickly remove it, and it comes off, as I said, quite easily. There we are, and just give it a quick going over the rest of it. The other thing that I do is every time I repot a tree, I pull it out about a centimeter or two, and I've done that with this, and it exposes the Nebari, the surface roots. This tree has substantial surface roots, and I'll give it a quick turn so you can see what I'm talking about. And the trunk is of quite a decent size, and that's where we started. And I'm going to zoom out now and show you the tree in its entirety. Ficus Tiger Bark Bonsai, repotted, pruned, tidied up, and I'll give it a quick turn. I think it needs to be about there. That's the front, and I'll give it a quick turn, and it's much lighter at the top, and all the internal growth has been removed, or most of it. I've just spotted one or two little growths as like ingrowing, which I'll sort out, and that's where we started. That's all for today. Thanks for watching, and to watch more, please subscribe and hit the bell. And until next time, this is Iqbal for mikbonsai in West London. Now here's an afterthought. Can a kangaroo jump higher than the Empire State Building? Of course, the Empire State Building can't jump. You dig?